Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in today. This is Emmy, and I hope you've had a good week and you're looking forward to a good week. I had a wonderful week, and I'm looking forward to the coming week. So in this broadcast, I'm going to have a conversation with you on ways to coexist more peacefully with yourself and within your relationships. And I would title this topic or this talk as emotional reactivity. So many years ago, someone close to me gave me feedback of my behavior. This feedback was unsolicited, and it was based on an observation that he had of me. So he said something to me, and he said it this way. He said something like, "Oh, Emmy, you are like a fire ready to be lit. All I need is a set of matchbox." How did that make me feel? That made me feel like a deflated balloon. Of course, I didn't like that feedback. I had not asked for it, and the way he delivered it was so effective. And he also said it in my native language, and I guess the choice of words, landed so so well. So I think, to sum it up, my friend was telling me that I was an emotionally reactive person. So what he had seen was just a symptom of something bigger that was going on inside of me. And usually, emotional reactivity is fueled by a conflict within you, a conflict within us. It's fueled by something bigger that is going on within ourselves. So even though he didn't know, he had delivered a life-changing feedback, really, because I didn't see myself as that person. I didn't like the feedback because I didn't see myself as that person who is emotionally reactive. But then the way I was projecting myself, the way I was presenting myself to the world, at least according to my friend, was I was highly emotionally reactive. So emotional reactivity happens when you are not feeling heard, you're not feeling respected, you're feeling threatened, you're feeling something in you is being triggered. So, and usually emotional reactive people are seeking to be heard, they are seeking to integrate with others, they are seeking to connect with others. But then the way they are asking for it is very unhealthy. You probably have heard or read that people who are in need of love ask for it in the most unhealthy ways. And I'll also add by saying emotionally reactive people who are in need to be heard and seen, are ask for it in the most unhealthy ways. So when you are emotionally reactive, what really happens? What happens is you are responding in an autopilot mode. You're not when you're reacting, and you're not responding based on your thoughts. You're not responding based on your feelings, because you haven't processed what was given with what is in your environment. You haven't processed your thoughts, you haven't processed your feelings. So what you're doing is you're just in automatic pilot, and you're just, you know being you're not giving a reasoned and balanced assessment of things or issues. So your emotions overcome reason and thinking, and you don't allow other possible choices in your response to others. You know, so and this happens because we see in situations, for instance, because you see the world as you are and not as it is. So we are bringing in our relationships and in our conversations, we are bringing everything that we are and responding within one statement, uh, that is so telling, that is so loaded. Our response is so loaded with our history. If we haven't been hurt for so long, maybe because for me, especially when I looked back and assessed myself, I wondered, why was I so emotionally reactive? And I was, because there was a belief that I wasn't being heard and seen, and that was because of being a small sister. Partly because of that. That's my assessment. Because of being a small sister. So nobody used to ask me for my opinions. Nobody used to like ask for my take on things. So I would be this person you're just sending to get a knife, sent to get a potato somewhere. Go get me this, go get me this. But nobody really took time to like ask me probably what I wanted, what I thought about this. So I was like a student, um, who has answers to questions and is in a classroom and is raising a hand up saying, teacher, teacher, pick me. And nobody used to pick me, or nobody picked me. And that was an accumulation of many, many years. And I was bringing the emotional overload to my relationships, wanting to be heard, wanting to be seen, and not observing my environment. I was absorbing everything that was going on within me. Little did I know that I could just observe instead of absorbing. So I was in an emotional overload um, state. And that's what happens when you are emotionally reactive. So perhaps you have a history of not being respected for so many years. Perhaps you have a history of being heard. Nobody's giving you time to process your thoughts, to process what you think. They're hurrying you. They want instant answers. And within time, it builds up and you are in an emotional overload and you want to speak up. And you bring those feelings, you bring those emotions to your new relationships as an adult, and you bring them in your marriage. You bring them in at your workplace. You bring who you are, the history, the things that have affected you. So the first thing to know is to look at your history. Look at the triggers. What are your triggers? So how do we, once you know your triggers, so you ask yourself, how do I become less reactive? And one way to do that is to slow down the process. And slowing down the process allows you to observe the environment. It allows you to access your thoughts. It allows you to sort out your feelings and thoughts. It allows you to access other options to responding. There are so many options to respond to probably a conversation, a heated conversation. Um, so when you delay up the process, and this is how it looks like when you delay up the process, you think of yourself and you think silently. And if somebody is on your face, or if somebody is waiting for you to react, or you feel like you have a trigger and you're about to react in your automatic ways. So in your silent voice, what you could do is say, if it's an emergency, tell yourself, if it's not an emergency, I'm not going to respond. So in your silent voice, you can look at the person and tell yourself, I don't see any blood, I don't see any gun pointed at my head, and I don't see any fire. The house is not burning, so I'm not going to respond. And of course, the person will be waiting for feedback from you. So what you could do is acknowledge and tell them, hey, I heard what you said, but I need time to process. So you walk away and you've slowed down the process. You haven't reacted in your automatic ways. You've given yourself time to think things through. And you've created a space for yourself so that you can access your reason, you can access your thinking, you can look at things in a more objective manner. So had I known, oh my God, had I known that I was such a I used to observe my situation, my environment. Had I known that this was an available option, it would have saved me so much heartache. It would have saved me so much pain. Who knew, I didn't have to respond to everybody? Who knew that I didn't have to say a thing? Who knew that I don't have to be heard? I'm no longer that child. I don't have to be heard and seen because I know who I am. I'm no longer that child in need to be seen and heard. So who knew? But in all fairness, I knew of a Bible verse that says, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. But I just didn't know how to apply that. I just didn't know how to apply that. So one application is just to slow down the process and think, hey, if it's not an emergency, I don't have to respond. And the emergency is the house is not burning, there is no blood, and nobody's pointing a gun at me. I don't have to say a thing. So choosing in action and choosing to observe rather than absorb what is going on in your environment, and accessing other choices to respond, sorting out your feelings and thoughts. So if you learn to set a good sail, when the wind blows, it will always take you to your dreams, the dreams that you want. And perhaps your dream is to become more peaceful within yourself and to become more peaceful in your home. I hope that was helpful. I'd like to thank you for your continued support. If you'd like to link up with me, please find me on discoveryourcourage.com, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful and peaceful week. May God bless you.